expected return and also how to calculate the nimeandika kidogo au sauti ndogo. Okay, let us do example 1 on how to calculate the expected return and standard deviation. Now, example 1, we have returns for share X and market Y from period 1 to period 6. Now, we've given returns in percentage from year 1 to year 6. Now, the total returns for share X is 42 and for market Y is 52. Now, to calculate the expected return, which is X bar, is obtained by dividing the total returns, which is summation of X divided by N. Now our total returns is 42 divided by 6. So we get 7% as the average returns. Now for market, the average return or expected return will be equal to summation of Y divided by N. Now total returns for market Y is 54 and that of number of years or period is 6. So 54 divided by 6 is equal to 9%. Now this is how we can calculate the expected return for share X and the market Y. Okay, next step is to calculate the standard deviation. Now the standard deviation of individual share X is obtained by taking the square root of summation of returns of share X for period I minus X bar bracket power N. No, power 2. Power 2, and this should be divided by N minus 1. Now we divide by N minus 1 in case of a small sample. Now our N is less than 30. We divide by N minus 1. Now we can calculate first the summation of X I minus X bar squared from period 1. So now for period 1 we have 12 minus 7 squared. Period 2 it is 9 minus 7 squared. Period 3 is 7 minus 7 squared. Period 4 we have 1 minus 7 minus 1 minus 7 squared. Period 5 we have 11 minus 7 squared, and last it is 4 minus 7 squared. Now for period 1, 12 minus 7 squared should be 25. 9 minus 7, 2 squared, 4. 7 minus 7 is squared is 0. And for period 4, minus 1 minus 7 squared minus 8 squared is 64. And for period 5, it is 11 minus 7, 4 squared, 16. And last, for period 6, 4 minus 7, 3 squared is 9. So you can get the total variance xi minus x bar squared from period 1 to period 6. Now the sum is 118. 118. Now this is for share X. Now be required to calculate for market Y. So for market Y, it will be for market Y to be yi minus y bar squared. So for period 1, 15 minus 9 squared to be 36. Period 2, 13 minus 9 squared, 16. Period 3, 7 minus 9 squared is equal to 4. For period 4, it is minus 9 squared. This will be equal to 324. Call 18 squared, 324. For period 5, it is 12 minus 9 squared. You get 9. For period 4, we have 9 minus 9 squared, 0. So summation, your summation of yi minus y bar squared to be equal to 410. So this is the summation of xi minus x bar is equal to 118. This one is the summation of yi minus y bar equal to 410. So here to calculate the therefore sigma x, which is the standard deviation of x, will be equal to the square root of summation of xi minus x bar squared divided by n minus 1. Now, in our calculation, the summation of xi minus x bar was obtained 118. We divide by n minus 1. Our n is 6. So you divide by 5 and you take out the square. So if you divide and you take out the square, the standard deviation or the total risk for shear x will be equal to 4.86. Well, this will be our standard deviation. Now, after calculating the standard deviation or total risk for shear x, now let us see how to calculate the standard deviation for market y, which is equal to sigma y. Standard deviation of y is equal to square root of summation of yi minus y bar squared divided by n minus 1. Now, the total summation of yi minus y bar squared is equal to 410. Now, this should be divided by n minus 1. Now, our n is 6. If you deduct 1, get 5 squared. So, if we divide and take the square root, the total risk for market y will be equal to 9.06%. So from our example, we've seen how we can calculate the expected return and total risk. Now the expected return for share x is 7 and the expected return for market y is 9. And the standard deviation, which is a measure of total risk, is 4.86 and that of y is 9.06.